Okay, we are live. Yes, sir. Madhavan, sir, you can go ahead.
So, good afternoon, everyone. Start this webinar with a prayer. Happy is the man who finds wisdom and the man who gains understanding. Quote Proverbs 3:13. O Lord, divine teacher, be with us as we begin this webinar. Assist us so that this webinar may be an opportunity to learn. In the process of dealing with ideas and opportunities, you be our guide and enlighten our minds. May this session be for each of us a lesson, a chance, and an eye-opener for our better future. May all those who attend go with a positivity, knowing and accepting your plans for them. Bless Prof.Dr. Peter, the Loyola management, staff, and students of Loyola College, and all the participants. We make this prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen. So now, let me welcome everyone present here. I take this opportunity to thank Professor Peter for accepting our invitation and for being with us. Thank you, Professor Peter. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for spending your valuable time. Thank you very much. I also thank the organizing secretaries and welcome them, Dr. Milton and Dr. Jaccob, because they made this webinar possible. And now it's my privilege to introduce Professor Dr. Peter. He is the Director, Institute of Inorganic Chemistry, University of Heidelberg, Germany. And he is an outstanding and extraordinary researcher in the field of oxygen activation. He is one of the top 5 scientists around the globe in this field. He is a pioneer in the field of classical transition metal coordination chemistry, theoretical inorganic chemistry, and molecular modeling. He was the former Director of International Academic Forum, Managing Board, IWR, Vice Rector for Decision Management, Chairman, Graduate College, Molecular Modeling. As far as publications are concerned, he has got 398 papers and he has got 7 books. He has received 8 patents and has reviewed 40 papers and book chapters. He has also developed 3 softwares. And his H-index is somewhere around 61 and his citation crosses 11,000. He is a visiting professor, University of Leiden, the Netherlands, University of Pretoria, South Africa, University of Osaka, Japan, University of Queensland, Australia, and IIT Mumbai and IIT Guwahati of India. He is also a visiting scientist, University of Tasmania, Australia, and he has guided so far 70 PhDs and 24 postdoctorals, right? And his credential goes on. Right. With this introduction, I invite Professor Dr. Comba. Welcome, sir, and over to you now for the presentation.
Okay, there was a little bit of a blackout at the moment. I'm prepared to start my lecture now. Is that right?
Yes, you carry on.
Okay. So I just open my screen and I hope can. Sorry, a problem. Can you hear me? Is everything okay?
Yes, we can hear you. Okay. Yes, sir.
There was a sort of a small stop in between, but I think I hope this problem is solved now. Okay, I thank you very much for your kind introduction, and I thank you also for inviting me to give this seminar. I just need to get rid of this. Okay. I hope you students, you colleagues, you all can hear me. If there is any sort of problem, if you don't understand me, you just let me know. I'm now in beautiful Heidelberg. It's quite rainy and cold today, but that's nature, and we talk a little bit about nature today. So my first part of the talks, first 10 slides or so, I will be telling you how science in general and specifically, okay, I just have to quickly make sure that that specifically chemical science, how that is important for society. So that's the first part of my talk. And now I just need to see, okay. So what are the problems of society? And I should say that this is sort of a general knowledge, generally accepted. And it's going back to a note which Linus Pauling was a pioneer in quantum chemistry and molecular biology, and he has got 2 Nobel Prizes. He has got 1 Nobel Prize for chemistry and a 2nd Nobel Prize for peace. And I think he died about 10 years ago at a very old age. So in 1984, what he said is every aspect of the world today, even politics, international relations, is affected by chemistry. And I think he could also have said everything is affected by science. But since I'm a chemist, I'll mainly talk about chemistry. So what are the big problems? Water is one of the problems. We all need water for drinking because water is the solvent of our life. We need nutrition. Nutrition is a big problem, and talk a little bit about that. You realize in the last year when the pandemic started to hit us that healthcare is a very big problem. Healthcare is a big problem of society all through it, not also in times where we don't have this pandemic, which we have right at the moment, and which we all hope that this will be over, or the hard part of it will be over at some stage. So healthcare is another big problem. Climate, and we had terrible rains in the last month here in Germany with lots of casualties. Climate, environment, and this is also all related to energy. This is a 4th big problem of society, and well, maybe also communication. I'm communicating now with you, and I'm happy that the communication system is working quite well. So communication, high tech, this is also a problem of society. And what I really want to say, all these problems for our society, for all these problems, chemistry has solutions. Could say also physics or life sciences. Well, life sciences is the chemistry of molecules which are important for life. Physics is the fundament of everything. Chemistry is nothing else than the physics of molecules. So science has solutions for all these problems. Now, what is life? Living systems are highly complex. They are self-regulating. They are self-organizing. They are highly structured, very complicated molecular systems with a known metabolism, with a way for self-replication, and so on. They have heredity, mutations are important, and living systems react on stimuli. Well, unfortunately, I can't see you all. I would like to be in Chennai in a lecture room together with you and see your eyes and how you're reacting on what I'm telling you. But living systems are reacting on stimuli. They are not at an equilibrium. There's always an input and an output. And as I said, the solvent where all this happens, this is water. Now, this is what life is for me. It's my family, it's my students, it's animals, it's my friends. These are cyanobacteria, they're important in life, producing dioxygen and so on. Now, life is something different for many of you, for every one of us, but maybe this tells you a little bit of what life is. I said living systems are highly organized, complex materials, and I make you a couple of examples. You know the lotus effect, so that leaves are not wetted by water, and there are some new materials created by engineers, by chemists, by physicists who have similar properties. So we are inspired in our science by nature. Organic electronics, they're important for communication. Organic electronics are also important for the conversion of light to energy. So this is energy, climate. And then we have sensors. I have a good friend here in Heidelberg who is making sensors like these, which are then sensing some molecules which are important for life, like heparin, which is make sure that blood, if you're cutting yourself, blood is coagulating. Then I have an example, a couple of examples here of self-organization. This is a beautiful self-organized molecular organic framework. This is a part of DNA. This is also a self-organized molecule. Linus Pauling has been instrumental in solving the structure. I mean, he was not the first one, but he was very much involved in that. And here you see self-organized water. I don't know whether you know this. These are ice crystals. If you go right to the north in India, then you also see some ice in the mountains. So this is self-organized water. And what you see here is a chemical example of self-replication. Julius Rebeck has published that maybe 20 years ago, where these two molecules, mother and father, are organized to a family molecule, and they're taking up some daughters and producing some new parent molecules. So this is self-replication, and this is the chemistry behind it. There are other examples, and you can go to literature and find that. So various parts of living systems, various parts of life are understood, and scientists are able to reproduce it. I don't think that we are able to reproduce life, and we are quite luckily quite far away from that. Towards at the end of the lecture, I will come back to questions like this. Now, I have here three very important cycles, chemical cycles, which are important in life. So that's the photosynthesis. What I'm showing here is photosystem 2 plus photosystem 1. So the sunlight is converted into dioxygen, protons and electrons. And electrons are then used in the dark reaction of the photosynthesis by a catalyst called Rubisco, which is then producing from CO2 some hydrocarbons, some foodstuff. So these two cycles, that's the photosynthesis, are coupled to each other. As I say, the light energy is used to produce some new materials. Here, the wood is used to make a fire to keep us warm. The burning of the wood is producing CO2, which is used here again, and producing some water. So this is the photosynthesis. As I say, the two reactions where we have the water splitting, this is about 10 to the 11 tons per year. And then we have the production of hydrocarbons, it's also about 10 to 11 tons per year. And the third very important cycle, which I wanted to mention, is the nitrogen fixation. You know, there's lots of nitrogen in air, and we need the nitrogen for organic molecules, for molecules of life, for amino acids, for peptides, for nucleobases, which you have in your body. So we need to fix the very inert nitrogen, and nature is doing that by the nitrogenase and producing ammonia. Ammonia can then be oxidized to nitrites, and then there is denitrification. So this is all used for producing new materials for life. Then we have the denitrification, producing nitrogen again. Nitrogen is fixed again. So this is another cycle which is very important. For me, these are the three important cycles: the cycle of dioxygen, the cycle of CO2, and the cycle of nitrogen. And we have to learn from nature how to do that. As I said, water is very important. And here I'm going a little bit into details where we have a water molecule, which I think most of you students know what the water molecule is. And then we have hydrogen bonding, so that the pair of waters is sticking together. Here we have 5 waters which are sticking together, and here is a whole grid of water. It's very similar in structure to diamond, and this water structure then is forming what I've shown you before, ice crystals. So this is self-organization of water, and chemists understand how that works. This works by the hydrogen bonds here. So this is just, a little bit of chemistry. Now go to a little bit more detail to the photosynthesis. Look at this enormous machine here, which is out in the, I mean, I can see out of my window to a tree. Out in the leaves, you have these fantastic molecules. And right in the center, there is this tube, which is composed of manganese ions and the calcium ion, and all the red balls are oxygens. And if the light is hitting this water molecule is converted into dioxygen molecules. So this is what happens in this tree. And of course, I mean, if you want to save the climate, if you want to help to save our society, to save the world, then you have to look at nature and try to do reactions like that. And there are many scientists, chemists, physicists, engineers who are inventing new molecules. This is a molecule which has been invented by a colleague in the United States. His name is Hill. And this molecule is is dissolved in the water here. And if you shine some light on it, then you see these bubbles. These are dioxygens. So this is water splitting, exactly what nature is doing in this cluster of manganese, which I've shown you on the last slide. So that's how important science is. Now, this is not working terribly well, and we need young scientists like you to help us to invent some more molecules, some more systems which are converting light which are with light converting water to dioxygen. So that's what nature is doing in the photosynthesis. Now, another very big problem is the fixation of nitrogen. And you might know at the beginning of last century, the two German scientists, this is Dr. Haber and this is Dr. Bosch, they invented the Haber-Bosch process, which is using dinitrogen to make ammonia. And I should tell you, I mean, this is about, I think, 150 billion tons of ammonia produced with exactly this process every year. And most of it, I'm not really sure, I think about 70% is used of the ammonia produced this way is used for fertilizers. And we need all these fertilizers to get food for the whole society. I read that around 40% of the nitrogen in my body, in the amino acids, in the DNA, in the proteins, about 40% of my nitrogen in my body, and also in your body, has gone at some stage through a Haber-Bosch process. It means if we would not have that, many of us would starve. So this is a very, very big achievement of science. And this was made possible by these two scientists, Haber and Bosch. But this process is not very efficient. Nature is doing it with the nitrogenases in a much more efficient way. So that's how nature is doing. It's doing it a little bit different. So it's also taking dinitrogen, and then it takes hydrogen, protons and electrons, and produces ammonia, but also dihydrogen. So that's what the natural nitrogenases are producing. But they are doing it in a much, much more efficient way, in a much cheaper way, much less energy consuming way. And the main factor in this big protein, so this is the nitrogenase, is the FeMoco, the iron molybdenum cofactor. And here you see the structure of this cofactor. And the structure, as I show it here, has only been solved maybe about 10 years ago. And this was done, well, originally the original structure, but without details, was made maybe 25 years ago by Doug Rees. And this result here is coming from two younger scientists, Frank Nees and Serena de Beer at Mülheim Max Planck Institute, and also supported by scientists from Freiburg University. So 3 Germans came up with this beautiful structure. And since we now know what the structure of this molecule is, we can try to rebuild it, try to understand the mechanism of this very beautiful reaction, maybe come up with a new way to produce ammonia like Haber and Bosch have done it. So this is going to healthcare. What I'm showing you here is a sensor, which is sensing heparin. I've told you before, this is for coagulation of blood thinner. And with this very simple molecule, and this was produced by a colleague of mine here in Heidelberg, Roland Krämer, one can very easily, with a little stick, analyze heparin in your blood. Still sticking with healthcare, and my group is to some extent involved in studies like that. We see 3 different possibilities to image parts of a body. Here it's basically tumors. You see a tumor in the brain, you see a tumor at the elbow of a little mouse, And here you see another tumor in the middle of a mouse. And the three ways to image these tumors is by radioactive compounds. So this is positron emission tomography. Then we have optical imaging, so using lasers. And we have magnetic resonance imaging, which you probably also know. And for all these devices, one needs inorganic chemistry, because for magnetic resonance imaging, you need contrast agents. And for all these, one needs molecular chemistry. So chemists can help, also in healthcare. Okay. Brings me to the end of my longer introduction to tell you why science, why chemistry is of importance. We have talked about water, about food, about energy, and we have also talked about healthcare. Okay? And in all these problems, scientists, chemists in particular, can produce solutions, but there's many open questions, and we need more solutions. We need more young scientists like you who help us to further our society, further our knowledge. So science is important, chemistry is important, physics and life sciences are important. Economy is important, of course. Medicine is important, but I'm mainly concentrating on chemistry because I'm just a humble chemist. And as I said, water, nutrition, health, climate, energy, and communication, high technology. This is important. And my next part of my lecture is to tell you that internationality is important. Internationality is very important for science. The reason for that is that different cultures, they think differently. Now, science is to formulate the right questions and then look for finding answers to these questions, finding answer to the question of energy, to the question of water, to the question of energy storage, climate change, and so on. And different cultures, your culture in India, and I like your culture is different from our culture. We are thinking in a different way. We have a different family background. We have a different history. And this changes the way how you think. And I think we have to look at problems from all sides. So we need you from your culture and us from our culture to help to solve problems. And for that reason, I travel around. I mean, Dr. Jaccob has told you I've been guest scientist in many different institutions. Until a year ago, I've been once or twice every year in India because I like this country. I need to talk to people from different cultures. So science is international, and we need international exchange. But the exchange needs to go in both directions. You need to come here, and I need to go there. Okay? And then we can learn from each other and bring our different cultures, our different societies forward. Now, particularly in science, in chemistry, I just named a few scientists which you also might know from Haber-Bosch. We had them before, Heisenberg, Hund and Schrödinger from quantum chemistry. Georg Wittig, he's an organic scientist, an organic chemist who has won a Nobel Prize, and Stefan Hell has won a Nobel Prize in chemistry just a couple of years ago. He's from Heidelberg, from the Max Planck Institute of Medical Science. And well, I know a lot of very important people, and these people in India have, well, I know the names of some very important people in India. And these people, they have made enormous progress to science and helped scientists like me in the Western world to understand science. And there are many, many more of them. And I know a lot of younger colleagues with whom I've interacted in recent times. So the exchange, internationality, this is very, very important for science. And I was asked to tell you a little bit about what is the possibility for young Indians to do part of their studies in Germany. Well, I should say, I mean, I'm originally a Swiss. I've done my studies in Switzerland. Then I moved to Australia for about 4 years. I've an Australian and a Swiss passport. And for the last 30 years, I've been in Germany. So I'm somebody who has been at different parts. I've been a foreigner in most of my life. And I think I've learned very much from interacting with different cultures. As I said, in the last 10 years, I've been probably 20 times in India, and I've taken a lot of profit of that. But what are the possibilities for young people like you to interact with different cultures, and in particular with our German culture? Because I can't tell you much about how to go to Japan or to Korea. These are also important countries where you might want to spend some time, some scientific time, also in Australia or the United States. Now, talking about Germany, what you need to know, I mean, the system of doing research is somewhat different from yours. And well, if somebody from you wants to come to Germany, how does he approach a German to go there? What you should know is that research groups are organized the way that, well, I mean, I need some money to do my research because I need to pay the co-workers which are working in my group. And this is somewhat different from the Indian system, because if you apply in my group, I first need to find some money for you, okay? I need to appoint you. And the appointment is by the research group leader, by me, by my colleagues all over Germany. And we talk about some names. I should probably also say, if you look at me, I'm getting a little bit old. So officially, I'm retiring at the end of this year. I still continue my research. My university gives me some space, but I will become a little bit smaller. My group will become a little bit smaller, and of course that brings with it that I won't be able to appoint lots of people in the coming years. But same as me. Well, I had a lot of Indian colleagues as postdocs. The most brilliant postdoc I ever had was an Indian. I had some Indian PhD students, some exchange students from India. Dr. Jaccob, who is co-organizing this event today. He has been twice in my group, once as a guest professor, a little bit more than a year ago, and once as a PhD student, an exchange PhD student for about half a year. So what you do as a postdoc, as a student, as a PhD student, as an exchange student, you have to approach the group leader, well, me or some colleagues, because we first have to find some money for you. Now, there's always a possibility that you would get some direct funding. This could be from Indian sources, but probably this will not be very often, not happening very often. but it could be by German sources like the German exchange, academic exchange program, the Alexander from Humboldt Society, so this is more for postdocs, Marie Curie, which is now a European organization, or there's some joint German DFG, Indian DST programs. But for it means you have to directly contact a colleague in Germany and ask him whether he would be happy to have you as a PhD student, you as a master student, or you as a postdoc, or as later on as a guest scientist. So this is a big difference between, because I mean, most of my research, maybe 80% is funded by research grants. And most of the money which I get from the university and from research grants is going into salaries. This is to a large extent different from your country. So you directly would apply to a group leader, or maybe there's some network organization. I talk also a little bit about that. A very, very nice international network program is MCBR. So this is a series of conferences and schools for PhD students and conferences for group leader. And we had, I think, the first school in 2007. This was organized by G.N. Sastry. He was then at Hyderabad. Then the second one was organized by Hendrik Zipse. So these are the two motors between that, behind the MCBR series of conferences. So that was in Munich. The third one was in Chandigarh. I've forgotten the name of my colleague. Maybe somebody can help me. A very good friend of mine, but I've just forgotten his name. So that was at Naipa in Chandigarh. And then we had the next one, which was organized by myself in Heidelberg. And the last one was organized by Subramanian in Chennai, in your beautiful town, where I think most of you are. And you know, these are a number of Indian and German friends. It's mainly on computational sciences, computational biology, computational pharmaceutical sciences, computational chemistry, but also involving some experiments. C.V. Sastry is also involved in that. C.V. Sastry is an experimentalist. Madhavan Jaccob, he has been to some of these meetings and is very interested in the MCBR series of conferences and schools. And we had some, well, organized by myself in 2015, some exchange of PhD students. And this has helped me a lot over the last nearly 20 years, 15 years, to get many friends in India. And as I say, exchange, scientific exchange is very important. Now, why I'm telling you this MCBR network, I mean, these names, there's also some others which I've forgotten to write down. I mean, Professor Chemis from Bangalore has been involved in that quite a lot. Holger Golke from Düsseldorf is very instrumental in these things. You ask Dr. Jaccob or some of the Indian friends here about this network, and they have friends in Germany, and this helps maybe to bring you to Germany on the basis of funding, as I've told you before, DAD or some other instrumentations. Another very important thing is, I think, to know some colleagues who, like me, love India, who like to interact with friends in India. And I just remember a couple of my German friends who are guest profs. I've been in Mumbai and Guwahati, an official guest professor. Carol Ray, he's a professor at Humboldt University in Berlin. He's a guest professor in Mumbai. Biprajit Sankar, he's a very interesting man. Well, actually also Kalol and Biprajit, they are two Indians. Kalol has made his PhD in Mülheim and then has done a postdoc in Minnesota in the US and came back as a prof now to Berlin. But he loves, of course, India, and he's very often going back to his home country. Biprajit Sankar, he's now has a chair in Stuttgart University, and he has done a PhD in Germany and done a postdoc in Germany, and he has been professor at the Free University in Berlin and now has a chair in Stuttgart. These people, also Dietmar Stalke, he's a German, he's been a guest prof in Mumbai as well, and also Daniel, well, Dietmar is a crystallographer, and Daniel Wertz, he's an organic chemist, and he's in Regensburg, and he has also been in India quite a lot. So if you contact people like that, they love India, they know about the quality of Indian scientists, of Indian science, of Indian culture, and they might help you to get the place somewhere in Germany. There's a very interesting project, it's called Indigo. This has been set up by Burkhard König in Regensburg University. So this is an international research training group with students in Bangalore and students in Regensburg. I'm not sure, it might not be actual anymore, but Burkhard König, he's a very good organic synthesis man in organic photochemistry, and he has big roots to India. Now we have another very interesting network program in Heidelberg, together with a number of Indian universities. And this is now an international research training group. So this is appointing PhD students, mainly from India, also from Germany, and they spend part of their PhD thesis in Germany, in Heidelberg, and part of their PhD thesis in India. So this is the web information of this research training group. So it's located at the IWR. I'm also a member of the IWR, as you probably have seen. The IWR is the Interdisciplinary Center of Scientific Computing. And this research training group is mainly in biosciences, in big data in biosciences. In India, a couple of institutions are involved in that, but you can contact just people at the IWR. So this, as I say, is mainly in physics, information technology, mathematics, scientific computing, and all in the area of life sciences. Now, the last network I wanted to present to you is very close to my heart because I'm also a member of that. And you see here what the internet connection is. So this is the Max Planck School Method to Life. Well, we have talked right at the beginning what life is. And the question of method to life, the question we have in method to life is, oops, well, this is the main question. Well, which we try to answer what exactly is life? Can life-like processes, self-organization, self-healing, mutation, its own metabolism, can lifelike processes, functions, and objects be quantitatively simulated, predicted, and created in the laboratory? I'm not saying can life be created in the laboratory. I'm saying can life-like systems be created in the laboratory. So this, and the question, what exactly is life? So these are questions which are very important to our Max Planck School Method to Life. Now this is old. This should be 21, and this should be maybe 22. So you can apply, and this is the internet page. You can apply for becoming a student in the Max Planck School Method to Life. And I should say, well, it's very difficult to come in there. It's very competitive. But don't be humble. I mean, you can do it. And we have a couple of Indian students. I should say we take every year 20 new students. It's a very small class. They first make a 2-year master course and then a 3-year PhD course. They are well funded. You earn some money to live here, to do your master project, and then to do your PhD project. I should say, I mean, there's something like 200 to 300 applications for just 20 places, but don't be frustrated. I should tell you, last year, we had a student from Loyola College who nearly made it. I mean, I was very unhappy that he did not make it, but he came until the last step, so he was among the first 25, but he just did not make it into the first 20. Okay, you might be lucky. Well, if you want to do that, then you might be lucky, and we might be lucky to get you into this Method to Life school. So this is how it works. You apply with a Bachelor of Science degree, then you have your 2-year master phase, and then you have a 3-year PhD phase, and then you go off and be important new scientists. And the idea behind this is you can have a bachelor in engineering, in mathematics, in chemistry, in life sciences, and this 2-year master phase bring you to the same standard. What we are teaching is chemistry, biophysics, computation, and engineering. And this is all needed to make new materials which are life-like and which help in healthcare, which help us to understand what life really is. So this was our first class of Method to Life students, and we had, I think, 1 or 2 students from India among them. In the second class, which is running now, so this is quite a new school. I think we have 3 or 4 Indian students, and I would much be looking much forward to have more Indian students in the next class, which we are recruiting towards the end of this year. So the Max Planck School Method to Life is a collaboration between the Max Planck Society and a couple of universities, Heidelberg University, Göttingen University, Technical University of Munich, and then some institutions like the German Cancer Research Center, the Heidelberg Center for Theoretical Studies, the DVI Center in Aachen for Interactive Materials, and as I said, I mean, in the Max Planck Society, there are a number of Max Planck schools, like, for example, the Max Planck School of Medical Research here in Heidelberg. Right. So as a summary of what I was happy to share with you today, I just come back to Linus Pauling's notion that every aspect of the world today, so that was 1984, and this including politics, international relations, science, of course, nutrition, water, energy, climate, everything is related to science, is related to chemistry, related to physics, related to life science. Science has solutions for society. Science brings our society further. Internationality is very important because your culture, my culture, somebody else's culture is different. We need to use the combination of our different brains to create answers to the important questions of life. And India, as well as Germany, have a very long tradition and a very big culture in science. And this is why I very much looking forward to interact with more and more people from India. Thank you very much. I'm finished.
Yeah. Thank you, Peter, for your wonderful and valuable information on research practices in Germany. There is one question from the audience, Dr. M. George Johnson, former head of the department. He asked about can life be simulated in lab?
Sorry, can life
be simulated or model in life, simulated in life? Lab. Can life be simulated in lab?
Parts of life can be simulated. I mean, I've shown you a couple of examples. I mean, there is a reproduction which can be simulated. You know, this molecular approach to reproduction by Julius Rebeck. There are other systems like that. I have colleagues now in the Method to Life who are making artificial cells. And then they're looking like cells are interacting with each other. And in the cells, one is able to put some chemicals in there and study the interaction of the chemicals in the cells. So there's lots of possibilities to simulate parts of life, but I don't think there is a possibility to completely simulate life. Okay, so just different aspects of life are simulated, and that's the background of our Max Planck School Method to Life. Understand what life is by just looking at small aspects of it.
Okay. Okay, the final question would be, can you explain any application criteria specifically? What are the application criteria? For example, if you come to the Max Planck program, do you need any clear any test like TOEFL or any other program? Such a way they are asking.
Sorry, your question was what are the applications of these
criteria, the eligibility or specific requirements for applying any PGs? That's the way they are asking the question.
How do you apply? I mean, go into onto this homepage, and there's all the procedures how to apply are written down there. I think we very much rely on letter of motivation. Okay, so what is the motivation of you to be part of Matter to Life? Why do you want to do that? Okay, so this is something which is very important. And then well, of course, you need to have good marks in your bachelor. You need to fit in. So there are a couple of aspects, but for me, myself, the most important thing is to see why do you want to do that. Okay, what is the aim of I mean, where do you want to be in 3 years' time at the end of your master? Where do you want to be in 5 years' time at the end of your PhD? Well, life will change until then. But if you now would be at the end of your PhD, what do you want to do? You know, I want to be able to solve health problems, you know, to make artificial bones or to help people who have cancer or whatever. What do you want to do? What questions do you want to answer? So what is your motivation to do that? I think that's very important. And then, well, a couple of people are then selected, maybe, I don't know, maybe half of them, they come to a first interview, which is a very general interview by 2 colleagues. So this is usually on Zoom. Then we interview the people and then we select maybe 30 or 40 people, which are coming to a second interview. And then we see that's how people are selected. And this always discussions. I mean, what do you want? What do you can? How do you think that you have to learn new techniques? I mean, people are coming and telling me, I want to know how a cryo microscope works. And, you know, it's then just an intelligent discussion between young, intelligent people and some senior people.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for your answers. Now I'm going to give the vote of thanks. We are nothing here today without the presence of God. First and foremost, I would like to thank the Lord Almighty for giving us the strength, knowledge, ability, and opportunity to conduct this webinar in a successful manner. Thank you, Lord. On behalf of Dean of Research Office and Loyola College, I wish to extend my sincere thanks to my doctoral supervisor, mentor, and collaborator, and today's speaker, Prof.Dr. Peter Comba, Director, Institute of Inorganic Chemistry, University of Heidelberg, Germany. Thank you, Peter, for accepting our request for delivering a lecture on the best practices and opportunities to do research in Germany. You really inspired everyone through your beautiful presentation by focusing what is more important in our life, especially by concentrating major areas like health, environment, and medicine. Briefly, you outlined the entire importance of international exchange, internationality in doing science all over the world. Thank you, Professor Peter Comba, for all of your presence, all of your information, presence, and support with us. Thank you. I sincerely record my gratitude and thanks to Reverend Dr. A. Thomas, H.J., Principal, Loyola College, for his constant support, encouragement for organizing this webinar in a successful manner. I owe my deep sense of gratitude and thanks to our convener, Dr. J. Madhavan, Dean of Research, Loyola College, and one of the organizing secretary, Dr. John Milton, Head, Advanced Zoology and Biotechnology Department, for their constant support and suggestion for conducting this webinar in a grand manner. I record my sincere thanks and deep sense of gratitude to Mr. Sampson, our technician, for providing all kind of technical support, especially in live streaming of this particular webinar and joining everyone in a Cisco WebEx meeting. His support and encouragement is remarkable and unquestionable. Thank you, Sampson, for all your support and help. one way or the other. I would like to thank every individual who present here as a participant. Without your presence, this event is not full-fledged one. Thank you once again for everyone. Have a nice evening. Thank you. Samson?
Sir, any instruction to be given regarding feedback form?
Milton, sir? Yeah, my dear students, my dear participants, this is very important information regarding your participant certificate and your attendance. We will provide you the link as a feedback in terms of Google Doc. You can fill the form and send it as, then you will get the certificate of participation. So this particular link will be available for next 10 minutes. So within 10 minutes, you have to fill the form and submit again. Thank you. Thank you for your presence and joining with us in this evening. Thank you, one and all. All the best.
The feedback link is now posted in the YouTube chat box.
Yeah. Okay, Samson, you can stop streaming.